Hey everybody, welcome back to BobkeTV. Time once again for the broom wagon. Plenty of race action. We'll get to all the good, the bad, and some very ugly from the racing. Team Sky back in the headlines in the Musette Musings. A new low for Team Sky, if you can believe that. Continued idiocy perpetrated by the Giro d'Italia, tweet of the week, and very sad news in the neutral zone news. All of that coming up on the broom wagon. Okay, everybody, next up is the good, the bad, and the ugly from quite a few races that are going on now. The season in full swing, professional cycling. The summer is not far away, but it's been a spectacular spring so far. Let's start with the Tour of Romandy, a race I dearly love, having won a stage there in my professional career, much to the astonishment of everybody, myself included. The good, Richie Porte, continues an impressive season. Looking forward to leading BMC, the sole leader in this year's Tour de France. Second on the mountain stage behind Simon Yates, and I was the only guy from the field that was able to catch up to the leaders and stay with Simon Yates as he attacked Richie Porte. Great climb. Also a very solid time trial. Second on that stage also to clinch the overall in the Tour of Romandy. So congratulations to Richie Porte. And as I mentioned, I think back in January after the Tour Down Under, Richie Porte's going to be Chris Froome's, or one of Chris Froome's #1 competitors at the Tour de France, and nothing so far this year has led me to change my thinking on that. He was second to a rider called Primoz Roglic of the Lotto Jumbo squad. I want everybody to write that name down. It's been a while since that team, which formerly was Belkin and Blanco and Rabobank, is the Lotto Jumbo squad. They've had the yellow jersey in the Tour de France a few times over the years, but Roglic, a good chance to get yellow in Dusseldorf in the Tour de France because of the opening time trial. He is on fire in the TTs. Young professional, comes to pro bike racing from ski jumping, of all places. Had a horrible accident ski jumping, switched over to cycling, and now is a top professional and an exceptional time trialist. So watch for him to perhaps, if he does the Tour, that roster's not been finalized, but be in the yellow jersey. And if I am Lotto Jumbo and I have Primoz Roglic, he's doing the Tour de France and trying to win the first time trial. The bad, or not so good, Chris Froome, lackluster Romandy, dropped on the last climb in the mountain stage and only 9th in the individual time trial. Cold weather could have been a factor. It was pretty miserable the first couple of days of the Tour of Romandy. So not going to write him off for the Tour de France title defense just yet. Also, a little bit of a nagging minor back injury. If that continues to dog him throughout the preparations for the Tour de France, and that could be a whole nother story. Also to the good, Nairo Quintana, ready to attack the Giro. Vuelta a Asturias overall win, backing up great climbing for the stage win in the Vuelta a Asturias, which is one of the most mountainous regions in all of Europe, and I can absolutely guarantee you Nairo Quintana will be ready for the Giro d'Italia. He remains my #1 favorite to win the Giro. Tour of Yorkshire also going on. To the good, Serge Pauwels' first pro win. Wow! Gets the overall win at the Tour of Yorkshire for the Dimension Data Squad. More on that team in a moment from some news in the Musette Musings from Mark Cavendish that I mentioned last week in the broom wagon. Also the good, Dylan Groenewegen, one of the top sprinters, just below Cavendish, Kittel, and Greipel in the quickest man on earth stakes, but getting the better of Caleb Ewan on stage #1. Huge pileup. The ugly, oh man, horrible pileup. About 200 meters to go. And taking a look at this, I just see the body just cartwheeling after crashing into the riders in front of them. When you're sprinting that close to the finish line, flat out, and people often say to me, why don't they just slow down? It's just not possible. You can't slow down in time. And no matter how hard you hammer the brakes, if you hit the rider in front of you, 200 meters to go, you're going to go down. It's absolutely horrendous crash there. To the good also, and even uglier, brought to us by Nasser Bouhanni. Stage 2 win, and then for the squeamish out there, you might want to avoid looking at the next video, but looking at Nasser on the ground, just absolutely horrible, horrific. Out on stage number 3 because of this crash and a concussion. So let's hope that Nasser can recuperate quickly and get back out on the open roads and to his winning ways in the sprints. Also ugly, Warren Barguil. This is 2 words you never want to hear about any cyclist: broken pelvis. So Barguil crashing out of the Tour of Romandie. And I'm sure he's a very tough competitor. He'll be back at it as soon as he can. And best of luck to Warren Barguil as he recuperates from a broken pelvis suffered at the Tour of Yorkshire. Also to the ugly, if you recall last year, we have a lot of very powerful images coming to us from a race called the Red Hook Criteriums. And this is from the women's edition of the event. And taking a look at this, one of the things that I'm reminded of seeing this is the ability to avoid or stop in the event of a big pileup. That's just basic luck. Very rarely is any skill or foresight or ability to maneuver in time to avoid that. That is just pure luck. Another factor is the noise. If you don't hear the crash in front of you, all you see is the crash when you get to it. You don't even have a chance to brake. So when you have a noisy crowd, helicopters, when you're in sight of the finish line, like every single professional bike race out there, and many amateur races as well, you just have massive pileups. And so hopefully everybody's okay, and we'll be back on the roads and spinning the wheels again before too long. Well, Giro d'Italia starting up, so there's going to be plenty of good, bad, and ugly racing to come, and hopefully a daily update if I'm on my game in the broom wagon from the Giro d'Italia. All right, everybody, some very, very profoundly heartbreaking, sad news in the Neutral Zone news coming up next, and then after that, the Musette Musings and the tweet of the week. All right. Neutral Zone News next. In the Neutral Zone News, just one item, an absolute tragedy transpiring at the Tour de Gila. Chad Young of the Action Hagens-Berman squad has passed away after injuries sustained in the final stage of the Tour of the Gila, just 21 years of age. And my sympathies and condolences to Chad's family, most especially, to all of his fans and teammates and the Action Hagens-Berman squad. And it's a long series of horrible news, and it's especially heartbreaking when you consider Chad just 21 years of age, just starting out in his professional career. Michele Scarpone, just 1 week ago, also passing away. And let's hope and pray that this does not happen for a long, 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 forever time. It's pretty rare in professional cycling, considering the dangers that the open road presents us, but let's hope it becomes so rare that it doesn't happen anymore, and we don't have to face these tragedies, and families don't have to miss their loved ones. It's a dangerous sport. I want to commend everybody that has the courage to continue to ride and train and race. Myself, I haven't considered not riding, not going out, and I think we all would do well to understand the dangers and the potential that we don't come back, and to consequently enjoy every single mile of every ride that we do. That's it. Heartbreaking. I don't even know what to say. But hopefully that the Astana team and the Action Hagens-Berman team can continue to eventually race, and after a long period of mourning, however long that takes, hopefully the fans can be patient with the teammates of Scarponi and Young, and God bless everybody out there, and please be careful, do everything you can do to stay safe, and get home each and every time you ride. All right, next up, Musette Musings. All right, in the Musette Musings, Team Sky, back in the headlines. Team Sky has generated some very dubious headlines in recent months, but this is by far the worst. Jonny Moscow racially abusing Kevin Reza of the FDJ squad during stage number 3 of the Tour of Romandy, and absolutely unacceptable. Inexplicably for me, Team Sky did not remove Jonny Moscow from the race, and even though Elia Viviani, also of Team Sky, won the stage, Moscow has completely blotted that achievement out. Sebastian Reichenbach, I'd like to reiterate what he had to say. Sebastian Reichenbach, Swiss rider in a home race, Tour of Switzerland, hearing his teammate Kevin Reza being hurled racial slurs at by Jonny Moscow. This is what he had to say. Shocked to hear fools still use racial slurs in the pro peloton. You are a shame for our sport. That's absolutely true. Like I said, Team Sky keeping Moscow in the race throughout the rest of Tour of Romandy, and that really, really upsetting. The UCI is looking into it, and in the meantime, after the race, Team Sky has come forward and issued a 6-week suspension to Jonny Moscow. So that's to be commended by Team Sky. Moscow will undergo training to understand, I'm not sure, in 2017, I mean, hopefully, Jonny Moscow will understand how hurtful and damaging language can be, and I would hope that that's not an accurate representation of how he feels about people, but if so, you have no place in professional sport. It's not been reported whether or not Moscow's suspension will also be without pay. I would recommend that highly. And I will continue to report on this depending on what the UCI's investigation into it turns up. But any riders that do this are, like Sebastian Reichenbach said, a shame to our sport. This isn't the first time that this happened to Kevin Reza, if I remember correctly. Michael Albacini had a similar situation at the Tour de France. In that circumstance, Albacini on the Orica team offered an immediate apology to Kevin Reza, and apology was accepted, and Albacini was able to continue with impunity in the Tour de France and thereafter. And that is not acceptable. And so we'll see how this plays out. Team Sky, I can't even imagine what is going to happen next. What's going to be the next headline for Team Sky? My question is to everybody out there, is this a reflection on the management of Team Sky? Is this the culture within the team? And if so, the immediate removal of team management has to begin. I've recommended that for many months. I'm like a voice crying out from the wilderness. But I will continue to do so and hopefully be able to have the freedom to explain things and express myself in the way I see fit. All right. And I would hope to see a public apology from Jonny Moscow himself to Kevin Reza. That I have not seen, and let's hope that the right thing can be done and we can prevent this from happening in the future. But if there's no penalties, if there's no penalties that mean a change is going to be very hard to find. All right. Furthermore, Astana will only race with 8 riders in the Giro d'Italia. They decided that replacing Michele Scarpone, and I have to agree, replacing Michele Scarpone, absolutely impossible in the Giro d'Italia coming up. So best of luck to the Astana squad. I know it's going to be very difficult to be competitive and try to race at the highest level, which is what it takes to succeed at professional cycling. And it might take a long time for the Astana squad to recuperate from this, like I mentioned previously. So hopefully everybody, myself included, can be patient and give them the time they need to grieve and mourn and return eventually to the top of the sport. And 8 riders only for the Astana squad in this year's Giro d'Italia, a fitting tribute to Michele Scarpone. Mark Cavendish, it's been reported by Doug Ryder, and I'm going to quote him directly, "Time is not on our side for Mark Cavendish to participate in the Tour de France." As I mentioned last week or the week before, suffering from Epstein-Barr virus, which led to glandular fever and infectious mononucleosis, which is the triple threat to professional athletes. I recommended that they just say Mark's not doing the Tour de France. And if he does recover 100% and is at the start line, that is a bonus. But to give Mark the time to recuperate is absolutely critical. And there's a lot of pressure on Mark, a lot riding on Mark's participation in the Tour de France, but that should be secondary to his health and well-being as an athlete and as a person. So the danger is that Mark comes back too quickly and has a much longer battle against this. And I've seen many a career derailed by trying to come back too early from the required recuperation time from not just Epstein-Barr, but for an infinite list of maladies that befall professional cyclists on a regular basis. All right. Best of luck to Mark in his recuperation, and I would love to see him at the Tour de France. Believe me, one of the most thrilling riders we've ever had a chance to commentate on and watch race in the Tour. 30 stage wins in the Tour de France. Brilliant last year. Yellow jersey, green jersey along the way, and 4 stage wins. So I hope that Mark is given the time to recover and comes back up to full speed and we will continue to see him win races throughout the year. That's my hope. But if they don't allow that, it's going to be much more difficult to achieve. All right, everybody. Also up, the Giro d'Italia has just announced, if our sport is not dangerous enough, the best descender of the Giro. This is the stupidest, most idiotic idea I've heard from any race promoter in a long time. I'm going to tell you why. Back in 1990, the Tour de Suisse that I participated in had a similar competition, a very lucrative prize at the start of each day, whereby they would take us, the whole peloton, to the top of the nearest pass or nearest climb, and we would start the race in that village and have the most lucrative prize in the race at the bottom of the descent. And it's the first time I can remember, before or since, that we went on strike because of the carnage. Day 1, big pileup. Day 2, 3 or 4 big pileups. By the 5th day, it was absolutely outrageous, and a lot of riders got seriously hurt racing for this silly prize at the bottom of the descents that they put on purpose to make the race more thrilling. I don't get it. And for this is 2017. I hope the Giro d'Italia cancels this competition and does not encourage riders to take more risks. That's the last thing you need to do. The Giro is gorgeous, epic, transcendent, and glorious enough without the best descender prize. Please, Giro d'Italia, don't do this. Cancel this before somebody gets seriously hurt. All right, everybody. Next up, tweet of the week. The tweet of the week coming to us from an unusual source, the Tour of Romandy. And maybe a special mention to Peter Stetina. Who's got the most beautiful mustache on the Tour of Romandy 2017? Peter Stetina, of course. Look at this beautiful handlebar. I was dissuaded strongly in my era of racing from growing facial hair of any kind. No facial hair expressionism allowed whatsoever. Maybe a little 5 o'clock shadow at times. That was my road career. When I started racing mountain bikes, you could wear whatever facial hair style you wanted. And I took those to rather stratospheric limits. Didn't ever have a handlebar mustache, so hats off to Peter Stetina. I'm going to leave you with a picture of some of the most glorious sideburns in the history of professional cycling. All right, everybody. Don't hate me because I'm beautiful. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter. Keep the subscriptions coming if you feel like it. Thumbs up, greatly appreciated. Let's everybody hang in there. Let's everybody get along with each other. And let's everybody please be safe out there. All right, until next time.